Hey everyone, welcome back. After doing the video about magical poppin and talking about Iijima, I thought it would be a good idea to translate a part of her book, Platonic Sex, and read it on camera, kind of like I did with the Kurosawa story. This one won't be anywhere near as grotesque though. So I've decided to translate a portion of the book that talks about her time working as a hostess in the hostess clubs, in the kyabakura, as they're called in Japanese. And the story is mostly about her friendships or her odd relationships with the other girls that she works with. So I know a lot of people nowadays play the Yakuza games and they kind of see that, in Japan they have these, hostess clubs, and they might be wondering if that's, actually real. And it is real, it's all still there. That all kind of really blossomed in the 80s during the bubble era, the bubble economy in Japan, when people just had outrageous amounts of money to spend. Obviously that all came crashing down in 1990. But this is just before that, this is in the late 80s, and it kind of, gets into, that universe. It's a little look into the window of the world and also into, the mind of, a young woman, living in that time. So let's get into it. There was a really cute girl that everybody called number one. Her name was Akemi Kurachi. This 19-year-old girl had such a nice figure it could make you jealous. She was only a centimeter or two taller than me, but with such long legs, it looked like much more. Her petite face, which peered out behind chestnut-colored hair, was well defined like a doll, and so cute that even as a woman, I couldn't help but be mesmerized with her. Thanks to her relatable smile and frank, matriarch-like personality, she was loved by all, and she was covered in Chanel. With expensive jewels and fur that I'd never seen before from head to toe, her appearance was the very definition of a club girl. She was the pinnacle of a hostess. As for me, I didn't even have a clear idea of what Chanel was. When I happened to come across a shop with the Chanel logo in a department store in Ginza, I dashed in. But I only had $300 in my wallet. I gasped at the price tag, which was one whole digit above that, and promptly ran out of the store. For some reason, it was embarrassing. I was shocked at how different Akemi's lifestyle and mine were. I was living by myself in an apartment in Meguro, while Akemi was living with her parents. She told me one day, "I want to get my own place." So I told her, why not get a place near me? And this is how we came to be neighbors. Even though you can do whatever you want, living alone gets lonely. Once Akemi and I were living nearby, we would party all day and all night together. The neon lights of Roppongi at night had the appeal of 10,000 jewels from Bulgari or Tiffany lined up in a row. Before I met Akemi, it would have been impossible to walk around with my head held high, both appearance-wise and financially. But once we became friends, I could walk around Roppongi with confidence. By getting to know Akemi, the distance between Roppongi and me had closed. She was like a generous, caring older sister. She would come visit me when I was down sick, and also helped when I was having money troubles. But when I wanted to be by myself, that kindness could also be a burden. There were days when life got complicated and I just wanted to be alone. At those times I would pretend not to be at home, not even taking calls from Akemi, but she would call me over and over again. "Hey, aren't you there? Hi, where are you? Hey, what are you doing? Hi, are you asleep? Hello?" Finally, she would come up to my apartment and ring the doorbell. You're in there, aren't you?" I could hear her enthusiastic voice through the door. Then if I didn't answer it, she would start knocking, saying she was just passing by and saw the window open. "Look, this Rolex is white gold," or "This Bulgari snake watch cost 30,000. She would come and show me these things, regardless of whether I had asked. The only thing that came to mind for me when hearing Bulgari was yogurt, but even so, I wanted it the moment I saw it. With better looks than me, a better figure than me, and a rich family, of course, all the men were infatuated with her. I started to feel like I could never get to the top in this industry. As I became closer with Akemi, an unidentifiable feeling, something sharp and heavy, began to boil up inside of me. Then there was Junko. She was another girl I looked up to. She had the presence of an adult woman, with pale white skin, straight black hair, and bright red lipstick. Men were always flocking around her. I felt like the word queen was made specifically for her. Around this time, the man she had taken a liking to was 176 centimeters and had dark tanned skin that matched perfectly with a white business shirt. He had smooth brown hair and a slightly mischievous smile. Wearing an 18-karat gold necklace and a Rolex, lots of girls had fallen in love with him. He was the very image of the black suit of the disco, a symbol of the times. Junko easily got his phone number and called every night. Of course, she slept with him. But she never acted giddy or particularly excited, and would calmly tell us about whatever had happened that night with a look on her face as if it were a foregone conclusion. After that, she kept on calling him, but didn't have such an easy time scheduling another date. When it did finally happen, she told us, "I'm off to see him now," with the same nonchalant attitude as usual, and left. But she was back in less than an hour. Junko, who was usually proud and so collected it could be unsettling, had tears bottled up in her eyes. Even so, without going into a rage or wailing like a heartbroken girl, she kept her calm and told us about their brief conversation. He told her, "You can spend the night with me, but can you lend me 10,000? You love me, don't you?" "I'm going," she said bluntly, and left his place, coming straight back to us. For Junko, sweet-talking money out of men was an everyday occurrence, but her pride would never allow the opposite. I could identify with her rejection of the idea, painfully so in fact, and she would never allow herself to cry over it, all the more so in front of us. She was ruled by her pride, and later on, she behaved as if it had never happened. At some point, she started drinking herself into a stupor. It was as if she had lost something inside. She began sleeping with a lot of men in her drunkenness. For Junko, the greatest accomplishment was to sleep with a friend's man. She made a move on Akemi's boyfriend while she was traveling abroad. "Hi, it's me. I slept with your man last night. Just letting you know." She would leave that kind of message on a person's answering machine. The fact that Akemi had just started dating him didn't matter. Next was Nao. Possibly because she was a bit rough around the edges, she was also something of a try-hard. Her competitiveness, which arose from a lack of confidence, reared its ugly face in her attitude. Taking advantage of Akemi's good nature, Nao would stay in her apartment while she was away on vacation. Her watches, jewels, and designer suits were all laid out as if to say, "Look at me." Nao would bring men over and tell them, "Like it? This is all mine." When buying something that only cost a couple bucks at the convenience store, she would purposely take out 1,000 from her purse and then pay with a $100 bill. The worst was when she would borrow Akemi's jewels without her permission and wear them as if they were her own. In Roppongi, friendship was enveloped in envy and jealousy too great to be measured. Every day something would happen that made it clear. While it got on my nerves, there was also something coquettishly human about it. Whichever way you looked at it, the opposite sex was the source of all of it. That moment when we caught one of those sparkling male specimens would feed our pride. Me, my friends, and all the ladies out there were always chasing after celebrities. This wasn't the usual kind of chasing. If you went out in Roppongi every night, you would come across a celebrity at least once a week. But the bars and clubs that celebrities frequented were limited to a select few. At these places, musicians, actors, idols, comedians, and those who seemed like a far-off existence were out having fun like anyone else. For some odd reason, male celebrities were the overwhelming majority. Us girls were more than happy to get picked up by these celebrities, go out drinking, and even sleep with them. Everyone wants to sleep with someone famous. Some of it was just curiosity, but it was mostly the status we achieved by sleeping with them, so we gladly opened our legs. It's no big deal. Without fail, the next day it would become just another topic for us to gossip about. However ugly they were, if it was a famous person, sleeping with them was something to brag about. But to them, we were just easy girls who would let them have their way. Even so, we would wait for them to call, and no matter how busy we were, if they invited us out, we would rearrange our schedules, even if it meant being inconvenienced. If a regular guy did the same thing, a girl would feel like she was just being used and never accept it. But when it came to celebrities, we saw nothing wrong with it. We were working just to be able to go out and party. All the party girls would wear tight dresses, wrap chain belts around their waists, and had Chanel bags. We wore 7-centimeter high heels, cut our hair like Atsuko Asano, and covered ourselves in gold accessories. When we asked our boyfriends for a present, it would always be a 3-stranded ring from Cartier or a heart necklace from Tiffany. We wore men's-sized combination watches and 10-point diamonds on our arms. At night, it would be a pure gold Rolex, or if you were really flamboyant, Piaget, Chopard, or a Bulgari snake. Our dream was to date a man driving a brand new Benz SL or a Porsche. It was the peak of the bubble era. The neon lights of Roppongi never turned off, as if to encourage our wild nights out to go on forever. Unlike catching a guy, you couldn't catch a taxi until 2 or 3 in the morning, and even if we did catch one, it wasn't to go home. All the shops and clubs were open until 4. Sometimes, when the cops came, the clubs would turn their lights out and pretend to be closed for about 10 minutes. But the Euro trance music would come back on, and we'd party until morning after they left. I figured it would never end. I had never even considered it. Somewhere in my mind I was thinking, these happy days of just hanging out with my friends without a care in the world would just go on and on. With no thoughts of the future, I experienced love as a burning sensation from one moment to the next, just as I pleased. I frequented the shops where men worked and did my best to look good so that they would hit on me. If the flame died out, I would just quit. There are zillions of men out there. I could fall in love as many times as I like. If I was enjoying the moment, that was all that mattered. Now that I think about it, it's a little odd that platonic sex was never translated into English, given how popular it was in Japan. Hopefully, this little story gives you a glimpse into the kind of life experiences that Iijima Ai had. Who knows, this might be a world first. Anyways, thanks a lot for checking out the video. I hope to see you in the next episode.